You are listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast. My name is Andrew Mackay-Smith, and this is my conversation with a fellow called Harry Koisser. He's the frontman and guitarist of a band from Worcester in the UK called Peace. The reason for the conversation with Harry is to promote the band's brand new album for 2018 called Kindness is the New Rock and Roll. I really enjoyed this conversation with Harry, so let's have a listen to what he has to say. Here we go.
Pardon the interruption, Andrew. We have Harry Koisser on the line.
Thank you very much.
Hello.
Harry, how are you, mate? How's things been treating you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm plugging away. You know how it is, mate. I'm in my 40s, mate, so I've got two kids.
Yeah.
So if they start yelling in the background and carrying on, mate, apologies in advance. You know how it is, leading the old dad life.
Still good.
Mate,
Yeah, I know the story.
Yeah. So, mate, you in the middle of a tour at the moment, or just a bit of a press junket?
No, we're on tour in the UK at the moment. Just working our way around for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, because you guys have been going for quite a while, haven't you? I mean, you're not exactly novices at doing this. You know, you've got your, what we say in Australia, your L plates and your P plates off. You've certainly, you're rock and roll veterans in one respect. So how's this jaunt been for you? What's the reception been like to the new album?
It's pretty good, actually. Surprisingly good. I thought that people might take a little bit more time to warm to it, but I've discovered that if you play a song that is similar from the back catalogue to a new song in some respect, whether it be tempo, groove, or vibe, and then play the new one, kind of tricks people into getting into the new one just as much as the one before it. So there's a psychology involved, which I've managed to harness the power of, which last night seemed to really work. It was a really good show last night. It was in our top 5 of all time.
Oh, wicked. Okay, so it's the old work smarter, not harder mentality at play there, isn't it?
Yeah. It's working out at the moment.
So the album, it's been out, from what I can tell, mate. Rachel sent it across to me, and I've had a really good listen to it. I think it's been out now for about a month or so. So does it deviate much from the albums that you've released in the past? So was it one of these albums that you think you've been building to for all of those years that you'd been on the road, you know, producing live shows and albums and the like? Is this the definitive statement from the band Peace?
I think so. I think you basically nailed it. This is kind of like the Peace album is what I thought of it when we started writing it. It was kind of like, this is now the album that we've always been waiting to make. The other two are records I love dearly, and I'm sure that like our fan base are very passionately attached to. And those songs will never go away. But this album just seems like it's more about the album than the band, if that makes sense. So
it does, yeah.
It's the record that's the big thing. It's not about us. It's not about the four of us. It's about the collection of songs, the record, and what it means. And I think still going to take a little bit of time. You know, it could take years for the record to really grow into its potential, but it's well on the way already after a very short amount of time.
I'm so glad you said that because, you know, look, I've done a lot of interviews at this point in time, and I've spoken to artists from urban artists, metal artists, rock artists, whatever it might be. Now, the impression that I get from your album here is that it will take a while for fans of this type of music to understand what you guys are doing. And it's just not a comment about the sort of people that you're playing music to, but I sort of got the impression that your management or your marketing team might be aiming your music at the fans of 5 Seconds of Summer or even the more intelligent One Direction fans, excuse me for saying it like that, but I think you know what I mean. But it's an album that's going to stick around for a long time. So that's obviously something that you've thought about. And do you see that reflected in the audience, that you're getting the sort of people in the audience, you know what I mean when I say this, that you can identify with? Are they the sort of people that are coming along that you would ultimately see if you were leading another life in an alternative dimension, that you'd be mates with these people because you got something in common with them? Or are you seeing that you're getting a lot of people that are just curious that are coming from all walks of life to the shows?
I think that's really interesting what you said. Someone the other day said to me that, you die twice, when you die and when people stop talking about you, I think is and I said that a songwriter dies twice, when I actually die and when people stop singing the song.
Yeah.
And I think it seems like, this album was an investment in the future in that respect. But the people at the shows have been, I think this album and this statement draws definitely someone who is very open-hearted and kind and up for a good time, and the shows have really reflected that, the few that we've done so far.
Yeah.
Kind of like the way I was thinking about it the other day, I described it as bananas and lemons, and this might take a second to get around to, but bananas are very, very soft and sweet and designed for their function. They're designed to be eaten. They like to be eaten. They're happy to be eaten. And they ripen all the other fruits in the bowl. And they're a very giving fruit. And then lemons, on the other hand, are smaller and harder, and they don't want to be eaten, and they're sharp. But also they preserve the other fruits, like lemon juice will preserve the other fruit's integrity. And both of them are equally essential in our world, but are very different at the same time. And I do think, though, that like on surface value, the Kindness Is the New Rock and Roll is kind of like it's attracting a lot of bananas, if that makes sense. It's kind of like it's
no, I understand what
bananas
you're saying.
on the record. It's very, very sweet and very open and kind of like, and this is, maybe just the first bit of it, and maybe it's, I don't think that it's as polar as that there are only bananas and lemons. There's everything in between, but I think, the vibe of the shows has been very much sort of like sweet and loving, and everyone's just very euphoric and there for a good time, which is very good at this early stage,
It is
a good place to start, build out from.
And it augurs so well for the future, I think. I mean, are you yet to do the transatlantic thing where you go to the States and introduce your music to them, or is that something you've already done?
We're literally, this is the first song will go to like college radio in America, I think next week or something. It's going to be our first time going over there properly. We did a few tours of America before, but we've never actually done like a promotional run in America. We've gone and played shows, but we're going to sort of promote the album in America for the first time and sort of bring a message over there for the first time ever.
I hope they
very
get what
shortly.
That's cool, because look, the irony for me is I host a radio show here in Australia, but I've also got a podcast series, and the vast majority of my listeners randomly are in North America. I don't know how it's happened, but the viral nature of the internet.
Wow.
Things go where they go, and
you can't. You can't predict it. You can't change it.
No, you can't. Now, this is a very bold comparison, but you guys remind me of REM. Okay, so that's because of the lyrical themes. They're quite brave lyrical themes. So, and you talk about college radio. I think that's it's a very positive thing that you just said then, that the powers that be that are supporting the album recognise that that's where you guys need to be aimed toward. Because I think if you just get the run of the mill, again, excuse me, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but the Midwestern American who goes to malls and drives their pickup trucks and the like, they're not going to, listens to Godsmack and Disturbed and all that sort of stuff. They're not going to get what you guys are doing. But if you get in with like what I refer to as the New York opinion forming set, big things await for you guys, because one of my favourite tracks released this year is one of yours. It's the track Power. I've listened to that, mate, half a dozen times back to back today.
Thanks.
So I mean, I really hope it happens for you. So I mean, it's obviously, is it one of those things where the powers that be that are helping you with the band, are they saying, look, America's the great frontier, let's go and tackle this thing?
Not really just America. We basically we did pretty good in the UK on our first two albums, and we were really focused heavily on the UK, and we just wanted to give everywhere else a running chance. So America's part of that, but also it's every territory really. We want to kind of not be like, we don't just want to get massive in the UK from where we are now, or get, we're not trying to like go huge in America. We're just trying to bring everything up to a level where, and sort of utilize the way that the music industry works now, using online stuff, therefore like global pictures and, stories that sort of resonate globally rather than just in one spot, and just kind of spread the message to everywhere equally, and then see where we're at. I don't really have like big goals, specifically big goals. I just have a sort of like overwhelming urge to keep moving forward. So, kind of not sure where we're going, but the ride is what I'm concerned in, making it good. You know what I mean? The way that we get there, and then just leaving everything else up to fate.
Yeah, it's a very good perspective, and look, the key thing about your lyrics in particular, mate, they're universal themes. This is the second or third discussion I've had with a lyricist and singer this year about this, but there isn't a human being on the face of the planet that couldn't relate to the lyrical themes across Kindness Is the New Rock and Roll. So, tell me a little bit about that. What inspired you? I don't feel like you're bearing your soul so much as you're sort of standing back and making a commentary on these feelings that you express through your lyrics. Have I got that right, or are you actually bearing your soul?
There's a lot of... there's a track on there called From Under Liquid Glass, which is very personal and magnificent. There's another very personal song. But there's something about the album is that the duality of something that's very, very universal and a big, sweeping image about mankind, that also at the same time is deeply personal and deeply sort of revealing about myself, which is a really difficult balance to strike on an album, but something that we work quite hard on. But the actual, like, the idea of Kindness Is the New Rock and Roll as a record and as a mantra and as a song is definitely an observation. It's a sort of like an outward song. It's something that I generally just felt was happening, and something that I saw around me. And I was intrigued by just sort of like, the sort of debate of like, well, is rock and roll dead? Is guitar music dead? It's been going on for so many years, and I don't think that it is at all. I don't think it is, and I don't think it ever will be. But I do think that things are changing slightly, and the whole sort of like, I don't know, I almost think about it as like a movement of kindness, especially within younger people around me and my sort of circles. It's really bizarre because it's kind of almost a straight trade-off where people are kind of losing their rock and roll behavioral patterns, let's say, and sort of switching out for this sort of well-being and wholesomeness, and not to say it isn't fun and still about having a good time, but people are all about the wholesome, mystic good times at the moment, which I think is really nice, and trying to make the world a better place, which kind of is all put into that sentence, kind of is the new rock and roll,
Yeah, it does. It makes complete sense, because for somebody like me of my vintage, I was around when there was no internet, heavily involved in music and being a musician, and I've seen the internet come in through the late 90s, have the impact that it initially had, where it sort of splintered apart record labels and all the rest of it through Napster. It took about 15 years, it's fair to say, for the record industry to recover from that and work out that there was a way of recouping, an earn from listening to music through streaming, if you like. But, that's only a small part of what the internet has done. The internet, what it's really done, I think, is it's the marketplace of ideas, and whether they're good ideas or bad ideas, the bloody thing doesn't discriminate, does it? So one aspect of it where, we're able to, listen to TED Talks and all these wonderfully inspirational people, but then the other side of it, we can see these assholes in Syria and in Iraq and ISIS doing terrible and deplorable things to human beings, and all manner of things in between, So I think because we're so aware of what happens in the world at the moment, it impacts us. So you're right about that. The sex, drugs, and rock and roll thing, the Motley Crue thing is no longer valid, right? It's people like yourself that are stepping up to the plate. You're making a conscious effort to actually contribute in a positive sense through your music to humanity.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's no longer sort of like just to be a good person. You have to be a warrior for good now. You have to kind of like, I don't know, make it part of your identity. I think that, everyone has good in them, everyone has bad in them, like they're different beasts, and we can feed whichever one we want. But I think it's good. It's good to show it now, and like it's cool to, you know, for me and my gang, it's like we're hippies, like I guess.
Yeah.
In our like, you know, grandparents' eyes, but like I think that's cool, and it's cool to show a little bit of that. And even if you're not like, you know, going to festivals every month and you're not like tying a scarf around your head, there's ways that you can kind of embrace a little bit of that in your life. You know, I've got friends who work like in the city on the stock exchanges who I've met completely randomly, and I know they're good people, and like I get on with them, and like they've got their hippie side which they bring out, or I bring out in them, and it's kind of groovy, you know. I think like everyone can get there, even if it's only a little bit, and like you can just be kind. There's like one thing, just literally. It's like so easy. Well, you've just, you know, it doesn't always have to be as flower power as I am, you know.
Well, I think what you're saying is really important, because we've all been put on this earth through, whether it be God or whoever's grace beyond the ether, to do different things, right? And you're clearly here to spread a message through your music, and you're doing that wonderfully well. But you're talking about your mates there. Well, there is, you know, if there is an industry in Australia at the moment, we've got a Royal Commission going on into our banking sector, which is, you know, we've got a fairly robust banking sector here, but it turns out there's all sorts of dodgy behaviour because there's not a lot of oversight. And it really talks to humanity's tendency to just do what we do because we can get away with things, as opposed to doing what we should be doing because it's the right thing to do. You know, we all have a conscience, and we all know when we're straying from that. It shouldn't take an oversight committee to say, don't rip that mum and dad off out of their superannuation or life savings through this investment, and don't take that massive commission, whether or not it goes south or north. I mean, it should be, you know, that's a whole nother rabbit warren, isn't it? But yeah, you said something really important there, and that for somebody like me who has invested in listening to your music, it actually gives it that extra dimension, you know, that fourth dimension, as I like to say, into the person behind the lyric writer. And it's really cool to know that. And I think by extension, if people listen to our discussion here and then choose to get into your music, which I think that they definitely bloody will after listening to you talk so eloquently, they've got that context now.
Thanks.
You know? So... Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
Oh, I was just going to say, I've got as I tend to do, mate, we've only got a few more minutes left, so I better, given we're doing this for the Australian media, for the sake of the Australian media, I should ask you, mate, are you coming down here anytime soon? And have you had a lot of feedback from Australian fans and listeners over the years?
Yeah, we've always Australia's always been like a real strong place for us, which is a shame because it's so hard to get there. You can't just swim. You got to get there the long way, go the long way around. But yeah, we toured a few times. We did the Groovin' in the Move Festival in 2015, which was killer.
Yep.
And I mean, to be honest, we're plotting out now from after festival season this year. And we're talking about coming to Australia as one of the first things we do internationally. There's a few little depending things, but it's on the cards this year or early next year, hopefully. I've got my fingers crossed for it. It's always a treat. It's always we always have very fond times. It's one of those things where, you know, for us, it doubles up as like, you know, when you go somewhere that you actually really want to go. So
yes.
It's like you get like it's half work, half play.
Yes.
You know, no one's kind of like, oh my god, we've got to go down. Everyone's like buzzing about it. So we've got fond memories, and I'm sure that we will craft many more soon.
Oh, well, fantastic. Mate, I better let you go and give you at least a minute and a half or so, whatever we've got left here before your next interview kicks off. But look, thank you so much for the chat. Congratulations on the album again, man, and hopefully we can catch up and have a beer when you come down to Australia. Yeah, for sure. Hit us up when we're in Australia, and we should hang out. That'll be groovy. Absolutely, brother. Okay, thanks very much, mate. All the best. Cheers, man. All right, thank you very much. All right, bye-bye. Catch ya. You are listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast. My name is Andrew Mackay-Smith, and that was my conversation with Harry Koisser. He's the frontman and guitarist in a band from the UK called Peace. Really appreciate you listening.